from the Altis Life RPG forums, and I'm back here today with another tutorial. Now, this tutorial features on hosting from Violator to set up Altis Life 3.1.4 extDB build. So I'm going to try and show you through the basics, through the Violator ACP and all this good stuff. And so it's actually quite simple to do it on the hoster because you don't have to install all the extra stuff that you would for a dedicated box. But then again, performance wise, I don't really know how much better it would be. And uptime, because if you have a dedicated box, that's really dependent on you and how you run it. Okay, so we're just going to get right into this. I prefer using the FTP. I use FileZilla for the FTP. I'll put a link in that in the description below. Another FTP program I use is WinSCP, and I'll also put that in the description below. Right here is your FTP info, so I'm going to show you how to connect to it using FileZilla. Again, it's up to you, but FileZilla, just using FTP is a whole lot quicker than using their file manager, and it saves you a whole lot more time. Okay, so first things first, let me navigate to the right directory here, and we'll get started. Alrighty, so first things first, you go to File, Site Manager. Okay, now I'm going to delete that one, okay? Make a new one for you guys. I'm going to call it, well, rename. I'm going to call it Tutorial, so I know what it is, if I can spell right. Alrighty, in the host, you just put the FTP IP, which they give gladly right there for you. Put that bad boy in there. For the port, you have to put in their little port number. As anonymous, I recommend you set yours to normal, where it keeps the username and password and it connects automatically and does all that for you. Mine, for some reason, my FileZilla right now, I accidentally clicked a setting a while back ago, and it's going to now it's kind of jacked up. So that being said, also too, the username and password are the username and password of your control panel. So let me just get one quick sec real quick so you guys don't see my password. Okay, there we go. And see, mine's just kind of stupid, but yours should work just fine. Just make sure you set it to account type normal and not account, because if you set it to account, it won't work. Alright, so there you go. There's your server. As you see, you got all these files here. Now, since I tried to do this tutorial yesterday, but I ran into some problems, so I'm just gonna delete those. And I'm gonna delete this for you guys. I'm gonna do it all fresh. Okay. So, wondering what's left to do here. Alrighty, so what's left to do here, now we're starting over, MP missions, okay? Well, now, first of all, when you download the Altis Life Master from the GitHub, you'll get it in this type of folder, okay? You'll extract it, and you'll see all this. You may be wondering, well, what do I do? Alright, so go to the extDB build, and as you can see here, this wouldn't originally be there. Now they're with this. Okay. So here's what you basically start out with. So here, I use PBO Manager, I'll also put a link in the description. Once you install that, all you have to do is right-click a folder and just click and use the PBO Manager thing right here and click pack into file name .pbo. There you go, it's in a PBO now. Now you have to do the same with this one as well. Alrighty, now before you upload it, for the life server, there's an extra step we have to do. We have to create a folder and call it @life_, if I can spell it correctly, @life_server. And once you've created that, you got to go in there, new folder, and create a thing called add-ons. Okay. Now what you got to do is once you get that, you got to drag that PBO in there, and then you got to drag it into the add-ons. Okay, so those two files are ready to be uploaded. So as for the MP missions, I'm going to be uploading that, and then while that's uploading, I'm going to be uploading the life server, which if I can just drag it over here. Alrighty, now what you want to do is you don't want to drag it into another folder, so you just kind of have to go like that and drag it to the side. Alright, so you got the life server now, and we have the MP missions in there. Good. Now what we have to do is we have to install the extDB. So you go into the extDB stable, go in there, Windows _ release. I use 07. I'm thinking about maybe switching to 12, but for right now I'm just going to use 07 because that's what I know works, that's what I trust. But again, it's up to you guys. So as for the extDB, all you got to do really with this is you just got to, I know some people like to use the DLLs, but what people don't realize is with the hosted server company, sometimes the DLLs won't work. Now I know they have their security, so it does work, but sometimes on some hoster companies it doesn't work. It don't, like, unless you have a dedicated box and you're able to control, you know, give the permissions to the DLL. So that's why I always recommend using this. I know other people in the forums use something different, but you know, that's just my method of doing it. You either love it or you hate it. So it'll be uploading that, and then we just have the config.ini, if I'm correct, and you just have to drag that in the main directory as well. But when you can't just upload it, you have to we have to go in here and we have to establish the connection to the database. So you'll edit it with Notepad++ because that's what you do, and you'll see here all of this information up top. You don't want to change. Learned that last time. Type MySQL, leave that the same. Name test. Now this is the name of your database right here. So if it's the name of your database, you have to set it accordingly. If I'm going to be able to do that, I purchased, I guess, a MySQL server from them as well, so I'll be able to go over to the MySQL server. And you can't just make a database through here. I know they say create database and stuff like that, but I don't even know if that really necessarily works. So what I recommend you do is you go to Navicat, and we have Navicat here. So what we want to do is go to connection, MySQL, call it tutorial, why not? Alright, hostname, IP address, connection info right there. So you get that, paste that bad boy in there, 5,000. Username, root, password, I have no idea what these are. You know what, I'm going to assume it's going to be my, see if it works. Okay, so root, that's not the password for root. So what I recommend you do is click create user, and then like it should create a user for you. So I'm going to go into connection properties real quick here. As for the username though, let's see. Okay, well then apparently I'm going to have to just create a new user. So you click create user, new username, test, all hosts, privilege type, all global, execute. So now what it's going to basically be doing is creating a new database user for you to connect to through Navicat. You can't do it you can do it on Navicat, but only if you're logged in, and I'm not able to get logged in, so obviously you can tell where that's going. As for those of you who liked my previous tutorials, or that one previous tutorial on the dedicated box, I mean, I thank you guys for liking it, and I thank you guys for taking the time to watch it. I mean, if any of you guys have suggestions, just post. Like, literally just put a comment there, because what I'm going to try and make my channel about now is I'm thinking, we have so many written tutorials on the Altis Life forums, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's not ridiculous. It's really nice that we have all these nice community-made tutorials and stuff to add a bunch of features to our missions. But the only thing is some people just don't know how to install it, or they need extra instruction, or they need to see it visually. Sometimes they're a visual learner, and they can't really grasp it with just reading a tutorial. And I've seen a lot of people who do that. Like, they'll ask me for help, and I'll say, hey, why don't you go check and try and redo the tutorial. That's what I always recommend, because sometimes people just really skip steps or just miss it. But usually with a video, you pause it, you wait, you don't miss anything. I'm assuming it did it, because when it says that, usually, I think, if I'm correct, that's what it usually says, but you can never be sure nowadays. Test, okay, open, denied, user for test. Alrighty then. So, anyways, once you get this user working, to whether if I'm going to be able to get it working is a good question. But, let's see here. I had it before, though, which is the interesting part. Like, that's the actual. So here, I have this, though. Okay, so I'm gonna use MySQL Workbench, but you get the same thing. And from my last tutorial, you know how to connect using this. You input the correct information. Let me see what user I'm using over here. I'm actually using root. I just don't know what the root password is, I guess. Here I have one last test. By the way, I recommend you click test connection. There we go. Now it's gonna work, isn't it? Yep. Okay then. Okay, so I know I have that database in there, but basically what I'm gonna try and do is, I'm not sure if I want to really, like, I know thing is I already have it in there, but I already have like a lot of data on it, but I did back it all up and it's not using it anymore. So as for that, I'm gonna just probably create a new database, and that new database, or actually I could do that all through the SQL file. So if we go back to the Altis Live Master here, you'll see we have this, right? I'm gonna edit that with Notepad++. Now, since I'm gonna be using a different name, database, we're gonna just call it Altis Life. Alrighty, so and then you want to have it set to use Altis Life. Now this applies to you if you bought a MySQL server, and let's just say when you bought that MySQL server, they give you a database and they only let you use that database. You have to go into the file using Notepad++ and change what I just changed. So you have to change this name up here, and you have to change that name right there. Okay, with all that said, I think everything else looks good. Definer, root, okay. This is the user, at localhost, so that's fine. With all that said, I think we are good. Okay, so now what we want to do is, just the regular. See, actually, hold on, we're not opening that to try it. Okay, what you want to do is execute SQL file. Find it if it's going to be in the right directory. Okay, right here, right there. Okay, so there's your SQL file. I usually click continue on error because from my experience it still runs it anyways. See, executed successfully. Now always refresh. Like, you may be thinking, well, shit, nothing happened. Okay, well, refresh. There you'll see your database. Open that up and you'll see in your you got all your tables all set up, if I'm correct. If you go to your functions, there's your functions right there. Delete dead vehicles, reset live vehicles. There you go. Everything's all set up for your database. Okay, with that being said, we still have to set up the Altis, or we still have to set up that config.ini 07. See that config right here? We still have to set this up. So now we know we know our information here. So our name is going to be Altis Life. Now that's because it's referring to the database name, which is right there. Okay, database name. That's important. Username, roots, password. Yeah, I'm gonna create a new password just so you guys don't know my stuff for this. Probably though, I'm gonna close the account after this anyway, so I don't really give a shit. But then again, gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, host. I don't think I gotta put anything for that. Password, test. Password, test. Server privileges. Now, someone sent me a message on the forums the other day. I think it was Nova, and they said you don't need all the permissions. I forgot what permissions he said, so maybe I can find them real quick. But let's see. Okay, right here. Okay, so he says basically the only basic trigger user permissions needed are select, insert, update. Now, I'm gonna add delete as well, but that's mine. Trigger event. Okay, so I think update execute trigger event. Alright, so I think that's all it needs. Okay, save. Okay, so now we got that test one. So now if we go in, we can just enter the username. Okay, password. Okay, IP. Now we have to go back to the violator control panel for that one. Be right here. Alrighty. Now what we want to do is grab the connection info right there. Okay. So let's drag this. Okay, we get the point. Alrighty, so IP. Okay, got it like that. Enter the information there. Leave those alone, if you want my opinion. Leave those alone. I never edit those and it still works, so I'm not really complaining. Well, once you've done all that, you can then upload it. So go into the right section here. Wait for release 07. Okay, .ini. Wait for it to log in. Now, a Violator's FTP takes quite a bit of time. I'm just letting you guys know that right now. Compared to a dedicated box FTP, FileZilla FTP server usually lets you in right as you click it, but I guess Violator just wants to double check everything, and I think you got to go through their so-called DDoS protection, which I don't know if that really exists or not. But anyways, there you go. Now again, like I said, I always do things live, so I'm gonna try and connect to the server and we're gonna see how it works. But there's one last thing you have to do before we do that. Now in the ARMA slots over here, right? You have to go to the command line manager. Now you've been wondering, oh, why do I have to do that? Yeah. Now you have to go to custom command lines, create new. And the reason why you have to do this is because you have to enable the mods. Like you have to the extDB, and then you have to add life_server. Now again, like I said, I know people do this differently, but that's, again, this is just how I want to do it. So, okay, so apparently if you want to find the server config and the basic config, you just have to go in default server. So if you go in there, I'll just show you guys quickly on this. But anyways, once that logs in, okay, so you'll see these configs right here. I recommend you take a look at them and just double check them and make sure everything looks good to you, but that's up to you. So, once we've done this, we're going to call it tutorial, okay. We're going to click save on that. Alrighty, so as you can see, we got the two mods. Okay, got all that good lingo jingo. Save. Now, what we want to do is click select. Now what that does is it selects and makes sure the server, when you start it, it goes off of this command line and this configuration. As we wait for that, like I said, I'll show you those things maybe real quick here. Go back here, there. There we go. Okay, so edit Notepad++. Okay, so these are the settings that Colin was talking on the forums as well that you really should edit. And those include, I mean, really you shouldn't edit them if you're going off a server hoster, actually, because fact of the matter is, they already know their internet, and I think they already give you what they want you to use, but I'm not completely confirmed on that, so I recommend researching on the forums a little bit more than just going off of what I said. As you see, you got this here. You know, you can add in, I guess, there's some other custom settings, but here's something we need to do real quick, actually, which we can edit on the website, but I'm not going to be, I don't think I'm going to, actually, I am going to edit at the website because I think it's easier if I just do that. So anyways, like I said, using a hoster is actually quite simple. So if I go to the configuration file, or configuration settings, sorry, my bad. See here. Okay, so you'll see there's your message of the day. Yeah. Okay, mission cycle. I'm, you know what, I'm not even gonna, you know, work around trying to edit that. I'm just gonna go into here, do missions, rename, and then I'm just gonna grab Altis_life because apparently I'm too lazy to type it. I didn't know exactly how it's spelled, and the reason why I say that is because you have to have the right caps and everything as well. So there you go, there's all that good stuff. Okay, I'm just going to leave all these settings, but if you really want to know what they are, verify signatures, that's what I showed on TCAdmin the other day. Max players, you can't change this, okay? Like, it's only what you paid for, you know what I mean? So it's really only what you paid for. So if you try changing that, the server won't run. Just letting you know that right now. Trust me, I've tried. I thought I can get around the system. They're smarter than that. But anyways, let's try and run this and see if it works. Okay, go there, and I'll see you guys right back in game. Now I know it was really pixelated last time. As for that, I think I might have found a fix. But I'm probably just gonna keep going and recording here because I like to get this all in one episode. because when I record multiple episodes, it takes more time for me to render it. Like that video I did the other day ago, that took me about an hour to do with all the recording, and then it took me about 10 minutes, or it took me about 30 minutes of editing, and then it took me about an hour and a half to upload it because it was 2 gigabytes long. So, I mean, these videos, like, some of them won't be 20 minutes long. I'm just letting you guys know that right now. Like, a lot of them won't be 20 minutes long, but I still have to do what I have to do. So, another thing I recommend, too, is clicking auto refresh on, by the way, just so you know how much, you know, bandwidth and CPU and how many players are on. I guess if you're not on the server, you're not able to look at it right now. But really, yeah, no, setting this up is really not that hard. I'm actually quite surprised on how many people are having a hard time setting this up. And I mean, okay, that's mine. Okay, so I usually just use remote. Why? Because it just goes a hell of a lot faster. So what I'm just going to do is copy the IP. So that's 2502. Okay. All you got to do is change that to 5. Okay. There you go. See, that's their test, I think it is. Nailed it. Okay, got in there. Again, as you know, if you ever saw my last tutorial, you would know we're not out of the woods yet. And we're still not out of the woods until we spawn in. Like, you have to spawn in, and then I would consider it that you're good. But anything before that, you're just doing the basic stuff. So anyways, it's doing just like what a dedicated box is doing right now, is reading the mission file. And, you know, once it finishes reading it, it'll then go on to hand me over the mission file. Okay, so now that I received it, here's the real moment of truth. If you're wondering what those black screens are saying, you know, sending you ID, requesting and all that crap, that's it. That's you communicating with the database right now. Continue. Not loaded into the engine. So that means I must have done goof somewhere. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not back. I've figured out the fix. It has not taken me that long to figure it out. But basically, what I've forgotten to do, if you don't, here's what I'm going to say. If you don't go in here and don't install that, okay? Just don't, alright? That's jacked up a lot of things and made it take more time for me to troubleshoot than I can't even tell you. You can look at the time and compare it to like earlier and you can see how much time it actually took me, but basically what I figured out what I did wrong is, if we go back to the extDB, when you go to 07, you want to basically here's what I'm going to explain to you what to do. You want to grab those files right there, grab that and that, just upload all of those. But remember, you still have to edit that one. But once you've done all that, which I'll do again for you if you want, but basically once you've done all that, it should work perfectly. And I'll even show you on video. So anyways, that's literally all I did. Do not install the Altis Life through the add-on manager though. Do not install that. I will cut that out though, so you probably won't even see it, but the only reason why I say that is because I only did it because I thought maybe, I don't know why, I was thinking maybe they updated it to extDB, so you could just use that, but it turns out they didn't. So anyways, this is really, so you have to, the reason why I didn't start is because it didn't have these DLLs required and stuff like that, and now it should start just fine. So if I go over here, click start, if you kept all the previous configuration settings, it should be fine. We just forgot the DLLs. Really, that was it. You know what I mean? So like simple files like that really jack up the whole thing. So anyways, we're gonna see if we can get in this time. As a matter of fact. Okay. Looks like it's up. Test. So this is really how it should go, I guess you could say. I'm sorry about that. I'm probably going to shorten the video, maybe cut some parts out. I know I said I'd do live, and I still am, but you saw that error. I'm going to keep that error in there. That's because, you know, I didn't... Sometimes, like you see in my video, you'll probably see in my videos, sometimes I don't always fully get it working the first time. But I think that also gives you that sense that I don't know everything, and if it doesn't work for you, it's not like it just happens to you. It happens to everybody. You just miss simple things, and simple things will really just be not working. So as for this, you saw I just missed a couple files and it really didn't work. As for putting that in the dedicated server, I don't know. I don't think I ever did put those DLLs in there. I might have not. So, but anyways, this is C. Okay, C got this. Continue. So now it's actually trying to send it, and well, bang, well, soon you know, you get to spawn in, and there you go, spawned in. Simple, simple. You know, you got all your basic stuff. I'm not going to go through all that again, you know, but there you go. If you have any questions, I try not to put it in the comments, like PM me on the Altis Life RPG forums, or something else. Like, I don't want to flood the comments with just a bunch of random questions. Keep the comments to suggestions, creative criticism, and more. But other than that, that's all I had to say, or that's all I had to show you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.